The night was heavy with silence. Across the alien plains, the sky was dark and endless, scattered with stars that seemed too far to touch. The people of Koresh gathered around a fire, their glowing eyes reflecting the flames. Old voices whispered about ancient stories, the kind of stories no one truly believed anymore. They were only legends, the elder said, his voice deep and rough. His long hands stretched toward the fire. Sky people. Warriors from beyond the stars. They came once. And they will come again. The younger ones laughed nervously. To them, these tales were nothing but ghost stories. Something their parents used to scare them when they stayed out too late. A warrior who fell from the sky. A ship of light that tore through the heavens. It was impossible. No one had seen such things, but in the back of the gathering, one girl, slender and sharp-eyed, did not laugh. Her name was Lyra. For years she had listened to the myths. Her father had told her the stories before he vanished into the desert. She wanted to believe. And tonight, something inside her whispered that the stories were not finished. Far above, hidden in the endless dark, a silent shadow moved. The elder's voice grew louder. The old text spoke of a time when the people of Koresh would face great danger. On that day, a ship would appear, brighter than fire, carrying one who is not of this world. Some say it is a curse. Some say it is our only salvation. The crowd shifted, uneasy. The wind howled through the cracked stones of the old temple, ruins behind them. Those ruins were said to be built by the same sky people thousands of cycles ago. Yet no one could prove it. Dust had buried their secrets. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Just a small vibration, enough to make a few stones roll down from the temple walls. Everyone froze. The fire crackled louder in the silence. Lyra's heart pounded. The elder frowned and turned his gaze upward. The stars seemed to flicker, as if something was moving between them. High above the world of Koresh, a human ship cut through the darkness. Its engines hummed softly, breaking through the endless silence of space. To the people below, it was a glowing streak of fire across the sky. A voice rang out from the crowd, trembling. "It's here. The ship of the legends." Panic spread. Some dropped to their knees, pressing their foreheads into the dirt. Others ran, shouting in fear. Children cried, clutching their mothers. The ground shook again as the ship entered the atmosphere. Lyra could not move. Her eyes locked on the falling star that was not a star. Her breath caught in her throat. The elder's voice roared above the chaos. "Do not fear. This is what was promised. The one who arrives will decide our fate." But his words did not calm them. Fear had taken hold. The ship tore through the clouds, leaving trails of light. The sound reached them moments later, a deep, thunderous roar that made the plains tremble. Animals in the distance scattered. The fire collapsed under the force of the wind. Then it appeared, a massive structure of silver and steel, glowing with strange blue lights. The human ship. It did not belong to this world, and yet now it hovered above it, casting shadows over the ruins and the people. Lyra's eyes widened. She felt the legends breathing through her. This was not a dream. This was real. Inside the ship, a lone human pilot sat in silence. His name was Daniel, and he had been lost for weeks in unknown space. His systems were failing, his supplies were low, and Koresh was his last chance for survival. He did not know what waited below. He did not know he was stepping into a prophecy older than his ancestors. The crowd gasped as the ship lowered, slow and careful. Dust rose like a storm, swirling around them. The alien people shielded their faces, eyes glowing with terror and awe. And then, the voice of a child broke the silence. "Is it a god?" The elder's face was pale. "No. It is a man." The ship's ramp hissed and slowly opened. Heat poured out. Steam clouded the ground. Every heart stopped beating for a moment. A figure appeared in the smoke. Tall, armored, human. His helmet gleamed in the firel, dot. The people of Koresh stared at him as if a myth had stepped into flesh. Daniel lifted his helmet slightly, his tired eyes scanning the crowd. He had no idea what these creatures were. He had no idea they had been waiting for him, and Lyra whispered to herself, her voice trembling, "The legends." They were true. Her words hung in the air as the human took his first step onto their soil. Night broke into silence again, but it was no longer the silence of peace. It was the silence before something much greater, a silence before destiny itself. The air was still thick with dust from the landing. The alien villagers pressed against the ruined walls of the old temple, their glowing eyes fixed on the strange figure who had stepped from the silver ship. Human Daniel stood at the bottom of the ramp, his helmet tucked under one arm. His face was pale, tired, but steady. To the people of Koresh, he looked nothing like the creatures of their own kind. His skin was lighter, his eyes sharper, and his body wrapped in armor that reflected the firelight. No one dared move closer. Daniel looked around slowly. He didn't raise his weapon, though one hung at his side. He didn't shout or threaten. He simply stood there, his chest rising and falling as if he could barely believe he had found life on this barren world. "Hello." His voice echoed through the translator strapped to his suit. It cracked with static, carrying words no alien here had ever heard before. The crowd flinched. Mothers pulled children behind them. Warriors reached for their spears, but did not throw them. Only one figure moved. Lyra. The young alien girl stepped forward, her long hair shifting in the wind, her sharp eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Fear pressed heavy in her chest, but curiosity pulled her feet closer. She had dreamed of this moment, though never thought it would come in her lifetime. The elder tried to stop her. "Lyra, stay back." But she did not listen. Daniel noticed her. He tilted his head slightly, lowering his stance, as if not to frighten her. He raised one open hand empty, harmless. Lyra stopped just a few steps away, staring at him with wide eyes. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Fire crackled behind them, dust swirled in the air, and the silver ship loomed like a god above. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Skyman." The translator caught the sound, twisted it, and Daniel's device returned in broken English. "Legend?" Daniel's brow furrowed. He didn't understand. But he saw the way her people looked at him, not as a man, but as something far more dangerous. Suddenly, a loud horn blasted across the plains. A warning signal. Another group of aliens appeared at the edge of the ruins. Warriors, armed and ready. They belonged to a rival clan, and they had seen the glowing fire streak across the sky. To them, this was no savior. This was an intruder. The villagers gasped. The elder's face turned white. No, not them. Not tonight. The rival warriors raised their weapons toward Daniel. Lyra's heart raced. She stepped between them and the human, spreading her arms as if her small body could protect him. Daniel's hand moved toward his weapon, but he didn't draw it. His instincts screamed to fight, but another voice whispered, "Don't make the wrong move. One mistake, and they will all turn against you." The rival leader shouted, his voice filled with rage. "Kill the Skyman before the prophecy can begin." The villagers cried out in fear. The old myths had spoken of this too. When the Skyman arrived, blood would follow. Daniel's jaw tightened. He looked at Lyra, standing in front of him with trembling legs, refusing to step aside. His heart pounded. He had seconds to decide. Would he draw his weapon and fight? Or would he trust this fragile connection with a girl who believed he was more than a man? The silence broke with the sound of drawn spears cutting the air. And then, the first strike came. The spear clashed against Daniel's armor with a sharp crack. Sparks burst in the air. Gasps rose from the villagers as the rival clan surged forward. their weapons glowing with strange energy. Daniel stumbled back, but did not fall. His instincts screamed at him to fight, but every movement he made could decide how these people saw him. If he killed one, would they call him a savior? Or a monster? Lyra still stood in front of him, her body shaking but unbroken. She raised her voice toward the rival warriors. "Stop! The prophecy does not speak of blood tonight." Her words slowed them, but only for a breath. The rival leader snarled, his golden eyes burning. "The prophecy speaks of war. We will not let him live." Daniel's hand gripped his weapon tightly now. He could see the villagers frozen in terror, their own warriors unwilling to fight their brothers. The air trembled with the weight of ancient stories. The elder stepped forward, his voice desperate. "If you kill him, you will doom us all. The ship came for a reason. Don't blind yourselves with fear." But fear was stronger than reason. The rival clans circled, their shadows stretching under the light of the burning fires. The villagers whispered among themselves, some pleading for peace, others begging for blood. The ground shook again, as if the world itself trembled beneath the weight of what was coming. Daniel raised his weapon at last. He aimed not at the warriors, but at the sky. With one strike he fired. A blinding flash lit the night, followed by a deafening boom. The ground split with the force of the warning shot. The clan stopped in their tracks, stunned. Dust rose in waves, covering the ruins in a heavy fog. Daniel's voice broke through the chaos. "I am not your enemy." The translator echoed his words, though broken and strange. The rival warriors looked at one another. For the first time, doubt flickered in their eyes, but their leader did not waver. He raised his spear again and shouted, "Then you are our conqueror." The crowd roared, torn between fear and fury. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. She understood now the legends were not just stories of salvation. They were warnings of division. A human would come, and the clans would tear themselves apart deciding what he meant to them. And deep inside the shadows of the ruins, something else stirred. Ancient machines, buried for centuries, hummed faintly with life at the sound of Daniel's weapon. The ground beneath their feet vibrated with a strange rhythm. The elder's face paled. He whispered, almost too soft to hear, "The war has already begun." Daniel turned his head toward the ruins. His heartbeat quickened. He realized the fight was not only against warriors, it was against something far older, something the aliens had forgotten, but he had just awakened. The rival clan shouted as they charged again, and Daniel knew this was only the beginning. The ruins shook as the rival warriors clashed with the villagers. Cries of anger and fear filled the night. Daniel stood in the middle, his weapon still glowing from the warning shot, dust swirling around him. He could feel the tension snapping like wires pulled too tight. The elder shouted for peace. Lyra begged the warriors to stop. But no one listened. Legends had become weapons, and every clan wanted the prophecy to belong to them. Daniel tried to step back toward his ship. If he could reach it, maybe he could lift off before this world destroyed itself. But the moment he moved, spears flew again. The alien saw his retreat not as peace, but as weakness. And then, betrayal struck. A voice rose from within the villagers, someone from Lyra's own people. A man stepped forward, pushing through the crowd. His armor was old, his face marked with scars. He was one of their protectors, someone trusted by all. But in his hand, he carried a strange device glowing faint blue. Daniel's eyes narrowed. That was no alien tool. It looked human. The scarred warrior raised the device and slammed it against the ground. A pulse of energy ripped through the ruins, knocking villagers off their feet. Daniel staggered as the translator crackled and hissed in his ear. His ship groaned, systems flickering. Lyra screamed, "What are you doing?" The warrior's eyes glowed faintly as he turned toward her. His voice was not his own. "The Sky Man must fall. His ship belongs to us." The elder's face turned pale. You've made a pact with them." Daniel understood now. The betrayal wasn't just against him, it was against their entire people. Some among the villagers had already chosen power over peace. They had struck a secret deal with forces beyond this planet. The rival clan paused, confused by the sudden blast. They had not expected betrayal from within the village itself. For a heartbeat, the battlefield turned silent. Then chaos erupted. The scarred warrior and his followers attacked their own kin, aiming for Daniel's ship. Sparks flew as alien blades clashed against each other. Brothers fought brothers. The ruins became a storm of dust, blood, and fire. Daniel ran toward his ship, but another blast from the device threw him to the ground. His vision blurred, his helmet rolling away into the dirt. He gasped for breath, the world spinning around him. Lyra rushed to him, pulling at his arm. "Get up! They want your ship, they want you!" Daniel forced himself to his knees. He could hear the hum of the buried machines in the ruins growing louder. Whatever had awakened before was now fully alive. The scarred warrior raised the device again, pointing it at Daniel. His voice echoed with something inhuman. "The prophecy ends tonight. The Sky Man dies here." Daniel's weapon was still out of reach. His ship was locked in chaos. The clans were tearing each other apart, and the machines beneath. The ruins were rising. The ground split open with a roar as massive shapes of steel and stone pushed upward, their eyes glowing with ancient light. Everyone froze, villagers, rivals, even the betrayers. Lyra whispered in horror. "The old guardians." Daniel's heart stopped. He had seen many machines in his life, but never like this. The betrayal had awakened something far worse than war. The ground shook as the ancient guardians rose from beneath the ruins. Their bodies were made of stone and steel, carved with glowing lines that pulsed like veins of fire. Each step they took sent tremors across the plains. The villagers dropped their weapons, their fear now greater than their hatred. The elder fell to his knees, his voice trembling. "The guardians of the first sky people. They have awakened." Daniel stared in disbelief. He had seen machines before, but these were not built by any human hand. They were older, heavier, alive in ways that made his skin crawl. Their eyes glowed with the same blue light as his ship, and when they turned their faces toward him, he felt something tighten in his chest. Lyra's voice shook. They recognize you." The scarred betrayer laughed, his voice still twisted with that strange otherworldly echo. "The guardians rise only for the chosen. But the chosen is not him, it is me." He raised the glowing device again, and for a moment, the guardians seemed to hesitate, their lights flickering. Daniel clenched his fists. If those machines followed the betrayer, it would mean the end of the villagers. He could not let that happen. The elder pulled himself up, shouting over the chaos. "The prophecy said the Sky Man will come with fire, and the guardians will test his heart. If he is pure, he will unite us. If he is false, the guardians will burn the world." Every eye turned to Daniel. The weight of 1,000 legends pressed on his shoulders. He shook his head slowly. "I'm not your savior. I'm just a man." But the guardians did not care. One of them lowered its massive hand, palm open, reaching toward him as if calling him forward. Lyra grabbed his arm, whispering, "If you refuse, they will follow the betrayer. If you accept, they will follow you." Daniel swallowed hard. He had no time to think. His world was falling apart. Yet something deep inside told him that this was not a random accident. His ship crashing here, the clans fighting, the betrayal, everything was part of something much bigger. Slowly, he stepped forward, placing his hand against the guardian's massive palm. A shock of light surged through his body. His vision blurred. Suddenly he saw flashes not of his own past, but of memories not his own. Stars burning, ships falling, warriors fighting. He saw the first humans who had come here thousands of years ago. He saw their struggle, their promise, their failure, and then he heard a voice. Not human, not alien, something older. You carry their blood. You carry their burden. You are the key. Daniel staggered back, gasping for breath. The crowd stared at him in silence, waiting. The elder whispered, his face pale with awe. The prophecy. It was never about saving us. It was about choosing who we would follow. The guardians turned, their eyes glowing brighter, fixed now on Daniel. The betrayer screamed in fury, raising the device again, but it cracked in his hand, sparks flying as if the guardians themselves had rejected him. Daniel looked at Lyra, his heart pounding. If they follow me, then so will the war. Lyra's eyes trembled with fear and hope. Then you must lead us to survive it. Behind them, the rival clan regrouped, weapons raised once more. Above them, the guardians shifted, ready to strike. And far in the sky, Daniel's ship suddenly came alive. Its systems no longer broken, responding to the same force that now bound him to the prophecy. The war was no longer between clans, that it was about who would control the guardians. And what they would do with them. The night sky burned. Above the plains of Koresh, Daniel's ship roared to life, its engines blazing with blue fire. The villagers cried out, shielding their eyes as the silver craft lifted, dust swirling in violent storms. For the people, it was no longer just a machine, it was a star reborn. The guardians moved with heavy steps, their glowing eyes locked on Daniel. Wherever he stood, they turned, their massive bodies ready to strike on his command. But he had given no command. He barely understood the power he now carried. The rival clans screamed in defiance. Their leader raised his spear toward the sky. The Sky Man brings ruin. Destroy him before the guardians destroy us all. And with that cry, war erupted. Warriors from both clans clashed under the burning light. Sparks and blood filled the ruins. Screams echoed in the night. The betrayers, still hungry for power, tried to fight their way toward Daniel's ship, their eyes set on stealing its fire. Daniel's chest heaved as he looked at the battlefield. He wanted to run. He wanted to leave this cursed world behind. But then he saw Lyra standing on the broken temple steps, her voice rising above the chaos. Do not fight each other. Look at the sky. Her cry made Daniel turn upward. Through the dark clouds, more fire streaks appeared, tiny at first, then brighter. Dozens of glowing shapes cutting across the heavens. More ships. Daniel's blood froze. His sensors confirmed what his eyes already knew. These were not legends. They were not dreams. They were real ships, and they were coming down fast. The elder fell to his knees, trembling. The prophecy spoke of one ship. Not many. This is not salvation. This is invasion, the villagers screamed. Some dropped their weapons in despair. Others raised them higher, desperate to fight anything that came. Daniel's ship circled above, locking onto the descending fire. His controls lit up automatically, systems aligning as if the ship itself had been waiting for this moment. The Guardians' eyes flared brighter, their stone bodies humming like living engines. They raised their arms toward the sky, as if challenging the new arrivals. Daniel's throat went dry. He could feel the weight of every choice pressing on him. If he fought, he would become the prophecy's warrior, leading both guardians and clans into battle. If he ran, he would leave them to be crushed under fire from the sky. Lyra's eyes found his through the chaos. Her voice was small but clear. Choose, or we all die. The first of the descending ships broke through the clouds, its hull black and jagged, nothing like Daniel's silver craft. Strange red lights pulsed across its body. The air grew hotter, heavy with the scent of burning metal. Daniel gritted his teeth. His hand hovered over his weapon controls. The prophecy was no longer a whisper. It was fire in the sky, and when the first enemy ship opened its cannons, the Guardians raised their arms in unison, answering with a blinding surge of ancient power. The sky was on fire. Red beams rained down from the black invader ships, tearing through the plains. The ruins shook, stone walls collapsing under the weight of war. The Guardians stood tall, their glowing bodies answering with bolts of pure blue light. Every strike from them shook the heavens, breaking enemy hulls into burning pieces that fell like meteors across Karesh. In the middle of it all stood Daniel. His ship floated above, its systems locked with the Guardians, responding to his every heartbeat. He had become the bridge between human technology and alien myth. The rival clans no longer fought each other. Faced with the invasion, they turned their weapons outward, standing side by side against the falling fire. For the first time in centuries, enemies fought together. Lyra's voice cut through the chaos. "You are not our curse, you are our choice. Lead us." Daniel's throat tightened. He had never asked to be a leader. He was just a lost pilot, far from home. Yet now, thousands of eyes, alien and machine alike, looked at him as if he was the center of destiny. The betrayer screamed in rage, his broken device sparking in his hand. "He is no savior. He will destroy us all." Before he could strike, a Guardian turned its massive hand and crushed him under stone fingers. The crowd gasped. The betrayer was gone, swallowed by the very legends he had tried to control. Daniel climbed onto the broken temple steps. His voice, carried by the translator, roared through the battlefield. "Fight together, or die alone," the clans shouted back, their cries merging into one. The Guardians followed his command, raising their arms in unison. A surge of light burst upward, striking the black ships in the clouds. One after another, the invaders fell, their flaming wrecks scattering across the horizon. The night trembled with the sound of victory, and silence followed. Smoke hurled into the sky. Broken weapons lay across the dirt. The clans stood in awe, their faces lit by the glow of the Guardians, who now stood still as statues. The elder's voice broke the silence. The legends spoke of a man from the sky, but they did not speak of what would come after. That part is ours to write. Lyra turned to Daniel, her eyes soft with both fear and hope. "Will you stay with us? Or will you leave us now that the fire is gone?" Daniel looked at the wreckage of the invader ships, at the Guardians, at the people who had once called him a curse. He knew his ship could fly again. He could go home. But a voice deep inside whispered that his place was here, where legends had turned into life. He drew in a breath, his answer heavy on his lips, but before he could speak, the night sky shifted again. Far beyond the clouds, new lights appeared. Not red, not blue, dozens, hundreds, moving slowly across the stars. More ships. Lyra's single quotes S hand tightened around his. Her whisper trembled in the dark. Then the legends were only the beginning. Daniel raised his eyes to the endless sky. His heart pounded. The war was won. But the true story had just begun.